So it seems that the conceptual music bug that's been rapidly spreading among many rock groups, and everybody seems to be catching it, quite frankly, has now caught up with Within Temptation. Oh no, it's just kind of a funny phenomenon I'm seeing, and I do admire, and some of you know as well, I'm sure from past music I've consulted in which the artists have floated into that vision. I admire conceptual pieces. I do. I like the depth and the creativity that many artists play with, especially in the rock sphere. When you blend authenticity of craft and honesty and inspiration with such dynamic works of art, in my opinion. As I've said many times, there's not been a song on this channel as I've made a mainstay of bringing music into a grander focus here and fulfilling my long-standing ambition. There's not been one artist or one track that I've not liked. And Within Temptation, we've humored them twice in the past, being from Don't Pray For Me and The Fire Within, the last and most recent one. And admittedly, I felt there's, I get it. Music takes a while to conceive, especially when it's delivered on such grand fashion and ambition and successful, efficacy, but admittedly I have felt a bit of a drought recently. I'm like, I'd love to be able to spotlight some new Within Temptation stuff, and I've only been a fan of theirs for probably honestly under a year at this point, though I've certainly taken my time in approaching more of their works and getting better familiarized, not only with you for those first two pieces, but also with some of their older stuff. I just recently went to the library, in fact, and picked up their whatever they had available, quite frankly. I was just looking for any rock groups I've covered on this channel. I was surprised that my library actually carries Within Temptation. They don't humor many of the European rock groups I have, though I know Within Temptation has broad appeal, which is great. They're a very dynamic group from what I've listened to. I love the range, and Sharon Donato has just a beautiful voice to her. And the vision on their works, deeply relevant themes, inspiration, authenticity, again, what I admire in art. And Wireless is going to offer something substantial. Oh, not to segue too far, I think the album was Hydra. That was one from the library. I've started engaging with it. It's pretty good so far, at least the first couple of tracks. I'm excited, though, for Wireless. There's quite a depth with it. And as I said, this floats a conceptual vision, which, as I understand, this is heralding the unveiling of a new album. It'll be released at some point this year, I think, yes, I'm understanding that correctly. I'm going to pull a quote here so you know the ambition of this song, because even I didn't know about this. Though the video debuted yesterday that corresponds as the visualizer component, I would imagine, what is again manifesting chiefly that conceptual vision. I didn't, and I have previewed the lyrics as well in terms of advance, though I think there's going to be some room for maybe double meanings and different approaches that you could take to the song. This is really interesting. So, again, like I said, I'm just going to pull the quote verbatim here from the Kerrang website. Wireless is a song about a soldier who goes to war convinced that he is going for a good cause, explains vocalist Sharon Donato. He is indoctrinated by government-controlled media and thinks he's going to be welcomed back as a savior, only to find out he has been used. This has resulted in people seeing him as a brutal conqueror instead, and now he finds himself on the wrong side. His life and the lives of many are deceived and destroyed. I gotta tell you, this hits such a relevant thread. I would imagine it is in part inspired. I don't want to speak for the artists or just impose kind of my point of view as sort of their own philosophy, but I read that and I'm like, how can that not be married in terms of relevant inspiration? Right. I don't know necessarily about Europe, but in America, this is a sentiment that I felt for a long time. And there's been other songs as well from other artists that have articulated, maybe not necessarily specific, and maybe it's been just like a semblance of a line or two, but there's been other pieces that have highlighted, I would say, that fundamental disappointment that those who serve, and I think, I don't just speak from a moral perspective on this or just the way I view life and respectability among, your fellow man. I think of as well, I've made it no secret as well from how I approach my content, my faith. And, I read about, what the Bible says in regards to the sacrifices that one makes for, other people. In a way that might emulate Christ for sure, but in just generally people who put down or lay down their lives for someone else. The path of soldiers and veterans has sat with me for a number of years, and as an American, it saddens me that we have people of such noteworthy ambition who go off to war and who serve because they care about their country, they care about their family, they want to protect and keep people safe at home, and so they deal with the horrors of war. And some manage to survive. They come back with horrible injuries sometimes, or trauma. In different ways, they are casualties of war. And then you have soldiers that don't come back, and it's truly sad. Wireless hits a chord with me. Again, like I said, this has a similar sentiment that I'm feeling quite lately when I think about, the state of, conflicts internationally or overseas where we're sending soldiers to. And it just seems to be, we send people that, people with families and dreams and hopes that are willing to serve. We send them into the meat grinder of war. And sometimes for what end? I get this song's taking more specific paths in some regard, again, by that conceptual vision, but I can't help but see the relatability, and I'm like, we're echoing something very relevant and impassioned on my heart here. So I'm extremely curious to see where Within Temptation goes in terms of manifesting this soldier's story. Again, I didn't know this is where it was going, but I can imagine, again, from their specific angle, a soldier going overseas to fight and protect, his or her country, and then coming back realizing, he's fighting the wrong cause. Again, even there's points of relevancy. This is a very timely song, however you approach it. And I guess from whatever country you approach as well. I'm speaking as perspective of an American, but this could apply for places I wouldn't necessarily know. Maybe you'd feel free to clarify that down below in the comments and educate all of us, perhaps, who sit in a similar regard of, well, I can't speak for anybody. I don't want to speak for anybody on matters I don't necessarily know universally. But I'm inspired by that message. Again, I admire the authenticity in the rock space, and Within Temptation has offered so much of that, especially in correspondence to the tracks we've previewed on this channel and engaged with together. I'm sure Wireless will be just as exquisite. Although, like I said, I've looked at the lyrics in advance, and this does have, I think, a bit of a broad approachability. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the song, and we can get the introduction to it for ourselves together. And if you're somebody that's not familiarized with the way I format my coverage here, I do accommodate listener taste to the best extent of my ability. So you will not only get the song and the visualizer, but if you want to read along with the narrative of the piece, I will have the lyrics provided for you in the video feed, and you should see those pop up as soon as, of course, they engage in the song, which will begin, let me get this ready right now. Oh, such a dark entrance. I like that. Fabulous atmosphere. Operatic echo. Really kicking up that symphonic energy. I love that.
It's the ultimate sacrifice. Like I got you through the dice, and then you left us all wireless.
Great animation style and the lyrical writing for this. Great switch. This is definitely inspired by real life. I see the echoes in what's communicated here in the visualizer. Wow. Wow. I'm at a loss for words. The dimension and the authenticity to this piece, oh my word. We're gonna get that re-entrance on the rock route? Yeah. One of their best pieces, for sure. In every regard. And here we go again with that chorus. Man, they hit it with this one. And Sharon, as always. Man, I love it. The construction to this is just amazing to me in every regard. I can't even give good enough regard to how good it is. The song just speaks for itself. I love when she takes on that operatic role. Talk about a group nailing that, or nailing their ambition. Wow, that has grand scale. I mean, again, I'm just still mulling over it. I've said before, I love being at a space where I don't necessarily know where to begin. And as I've acknowledged in the past, you know, I approach all my content that I produce on this channel, maybe it doesn't necessarily appear this way, but I go completely unscripted. I let the work speak for itself in terms of adaptation of framework. Though I might have a bit of like a rough idea in mind of things I want to mention, you know, points I consider in origin, especially on review, I let the work merit the conversation and where we go. I don't know where to begin with that piece. There's so many elements to the track's favor. I will say in traditional fashion with In Temptation, that is quite beautiful. Exquisite delivery. And wide dimension, I'll touch on this slightly, on the lyrics. This feels in part, again, I love songs that have that broad connection in ways that you can dissect them to best, and while keeping them faithful, right? You can retrofit their translation to best fit that your life situation, the way you see maybe life around you. Music can be very subjective and specific. And certain songs allow that on lyrical adaptation. I feel that this piece, again, there's a delivered message, which they deliver on so well. I'll broaden out the focus a bit in maybe the way that I see it. I could also say, you know, when I perused the lyrics originally, this came across to me like somebody reconciling the state of the world and life from a position of earthly adversity. And then looking at the situation as if like there's no hope, right? In a way that, you know, it kind of reminds me of the sentiment as well of like, don't pray for me. Which, you know, as I've said before, we might all approach music on different angles in terms of our background, right? As I've said before, when it comes to content, right? Not just in music, but in general of art, right? We all have different stories, different views, different experiences, different perspectives on life, right? And I always consider the content I produce from at some level, lens of faith. And with Don't Pray For Me, that was very specific. In ways that I, you know, considering individual experiences and thoughts, I'm like, I admire authenticity of work, especially since, you know, I'm somebody that likes to get, when permitted by the artist, I like to get a taste for how people are thinking and feeling in a way that could help me understand what it is people are looking for. right, in life, amidst adversity, tribulation, which we've all dealt with to different regards. And with Don't Pray For Me, there were sentiments where I was like, I'm hearing the heart of somebody, right? Now, maybe we're looking at life and maybe the destination of a song from different perspectives in part, for sure, right? But I'm understanding the hearts of the artist in a way that I'm allowed to, as individuals and as people, right? Fellow human beings in a world that is admittedly crazy, to put it mildly. So this song, when I read it, it kind of echoed a similar sentiment. And I know it's, again, not what's declared. I don't want to speak for the artist, but my general presumption going in, void of that articulation of the veteran side, I'll get to that in a minute, or maybe there's that's a good way to frame it. I sense somebody who is looking at life almost from the perspective of asking, God, if I again, just the point where I saw the song here going, almost attributing the adversity. And while I think it would be incorrect to blame God for that, because we do live in a world that is stained by sin, and that's not of God's nature. That's just my philosophy, right? It's a very relevant declaration, I'm sure, for many people. It's a similar expression, or it certainly feels that way. And we can all really, maybe asking at some point of our lives those general questions, right? Of, why is life not favoring me? I'm in this dark, helpless state for whatever reason. Maybe it's, maybe life choices I've made, or choices others have made for me, or just my general vicinity of people, It's very well written. And part, again, like I said, of experiencing the heart of the artist. If that is an ambition that maybe there's a dual meaning, I don't know. It's just something I sensed. You never cared for us, just our halo with its glorious force to draw more souls in. Like I said, it comes up from a perspective for me in that regard of somebody who's analyzing life and is trying to make sense of it. And you can't fault eloquence in writing, which Within Temptation always offers, in my opinion, on construction. And in authenticity, it's quite a statement. But the way it's delivered, as I said, we might judge it in different respects, but I like that experience of music where you get to dig in deeply, where the artists share their heart, as well as their, I'll get back maybe to the original meaning of the song, but their musical craftsmanship. Everything about Within Temptation, that's a strong suit for me in regards to why I admire them, and not just the European space especially, but the symphonic metal regard. Sharon's vocals, as always, I love the higher inflections in the operatic side. I love that, especially as a lingering echo here, just beautiful. The riff structure, especially on the refrains, worked so well in terms of switching that tune from a more sentimental, soft vision with the operatic flair, right? Transitioning the song naturally, it's a wonderful feed. The song is just a beautiful play. Elegant, forceful, with such atmosphere. It's a vibrant work of art, as most conceptual pieces, as I said, are. And the lyrical vision is declared by the artist, though, on the veteran side. I mean, that video has real-world connections for sure. For sure. I think anybody, if you're looking deeply on it, if I pull up a sample of images, you can sense what they're talking about. And maybe, again, like I said, that real-world feed. Though, you can speak to it so broadly. And again, to go with the declared meaning here, not just my original presumption that I offered, perhaps, again, to demonstrate that there may be a broad applicability envisioned, maybe, and other types of metaphors. I don't know. I was just, pitching an idea from what I saw. But on the veteran side, let me reread those lines that I already mentioned. You never, like a god you threw the dice, and then you left us all wireless. Why is your heart so heartless? I know, I'm such a fool. It's here you wear the mask of shame. You never cared for us, just our halo, with its glorious force to draw more souls in. You never cared for us, our dreams evaporating. Oh, this just sinks into you. We're forced through the gauntlet like mice in a maze. We're running. Like moths to the flame, we're falling. We know it's cruel. As I said, for me, this song feels particularly relevant to where my heart is with, where it's been for a long time, especially as an American, with the state of our military and how we send people into the meat grinder of war, seemingly without purpose. And then when they come back from war, people who are treated with such respect, or should be treated with such respect, because our veterans make great sacrifices. And this really pisses me off. They don't get the care they need in this country. I'm so damn sick of the... I'm not going to be fair. I'm not going to be mean here and unfair in saying that it's general society that has an apathy towards veterans, but our institutions seem to. You have people that get sent off to fight purposeless wars, and they come back, or maybe they don't come back, and they're not necessarily wars for, I'm not going to specifics, I'm sure you can think of maybe a good sampling, but okay, I'll mention one. Afghanistan, the 13 people that died, yeah, that one's still on my heart. I think that's sitting in for a lot of people. I'm sure there are other wars. Like I said, this video is particularly poignant, I think, in certain examples that anybody could tell. And maybe you can think of other examples that are maybe closely adjacent. I just have to say generally, this song for me it mimics the similar emotions I've seen expressed just as eloquently in other places regarding our veterans and people who serve overseas, or even just in our local communities. We just seem to treat the system of war with such monotony, like it's to be expected. Except these are real people with real lives and families, many times. And it's just a cycle of destruction, it seems, that we send people that we should hold in the highest regard. We just treat them like trash. Think, oh well, just keep sending people over. Makes me so mad what this country's done to our veterans and how we've... it wasn't always like this, It just makes me so mad. We live in a time where these people just don't care about their neighbor. Especially when it comes to people that we should be seeing as heroes. You never cared for us, just our halo. Man. With its glorious force to draw more souls in. That line is so well written. Goodness, is bold. That is, in my opinion, one of Within Temptation's best works. Certainly one of their more eloquent ones. But the authenticity to that, man, I didn't think it would even... I figured it'd be good, but I didn't know it would be that deep. And they outdid themselves in terms of manifesting that story, not just on the animation, by the way, which is quite beautiful to watch. Great style. It's great style of the visualizer. Beautifully animated. That song, though, it just... Ooh, it sinks in. I love it. I can't wait to humor it again. And I think it's a song that the world needs to hear in certain respects. And again, like I said, there might be a bit of a broad approachability, for sure. But if we go with the declared meaning, oh, they delivered. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are down below on this piece. And from every angle you approach, right? Long time Within Temptation fans, I'm sure there'll be a number of you. Many of you have graced my coverage in the past, and it's been wonderful to have that exchange. But I do hope in part that there are some of you who are approaching the first time listening to Within Temptation, and perhaps that sparked a chord of you to explore their past works. And they're quite good, like I said, real staple talent, not just in the European metal scene, but they certainly have general accessibility worldwide. They deserve it. I mean, the talents of this group on music just impress me, but on lyrical construction, whoa, I'm still getting over how good this is and how sufficient in declaration it happens to be in manifesting that ambition. Let me know what your thoughts are down below if you do wish to disclose your perspective. I can't wait for more, but I mean, how do you top that? Music for me is truly a passion project, as I've said bringing on this channel. I love spotlighting good art. Whether it be on music, on vocal talent, on message, on ambition, especially in the conceptual respect. That is one of the strongest pieces I think I've ever had the honor of covering on this channel. It just hits. But it's such a beautiful example as to why I love music so deeply. I revere it as an artistic form of expression and authenticity. Especially in the rock and metal scene, that generally applies. And I'll tell you, as I've said many times, people in my general vicinity, not the story of many of you, I've had the pleasure of being able to be connected in regards to other people that share my music tastes. I don't have that in my personal life, which I admire that outlet deeply. People in my life, some people, not everybody, never understood why I pushed so deeply into the rock scene. And I dealt with, judgment. I dealt with the, sideways glances and stuff like that. People never really understood why music, especially rock and metal music, means just so much to me. That's why. If I could say in any way, if I could define, according to the authenticity and the craftsmanship, why I have pushed so deeply into rock and metal music, look no further than Wireless. That is a perfect example. Such strength to that piece. I'm still getting over it. I'm sure it'll just sit in even more deeply as I listen to it over and over again, which I know I will. I love Within Temptation. I'm so impressed with that work. One of their best, for sure. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.